Hello everybody and welcome to my last video of my top 10 PPR tight ends for the 2020 season. Today I'm going to be ranking and explaining my number 6 tight end to my number 1 tight end in fantasy football. I know I said I was going to do this one by one in every video. Just didn't work out.
Sorry.
Well, here we go anyway. Starting with number 6, Tyler Higbee from the Los Angeles Rams. His 2019 stats are 69 receptions, 734 yards, and 3 touchdowns. This was an increase of 45 receptions, 442 yards, and 1 touchdown from 2018. I'm going to tell you some reasons I think he's going to do well this year. 1, he had a great connection with Jared Goff. 2, Brandon Cooks has left the building in LA. He's off to the Texans, and there's going to be room for Jared Goff to throw to more guys. Also, he proved that he can actually catch over 50 balls and have over 700 yards, which is really great for tight ends in fantasy football. To me, I think their whole offense is going to have to improve next season because they're facing some real talent in their division. They got to play Seattle, San Francisco, Arizona twice this year. And in order to compete with them, they have to play well and score a bunch of points. And I think they have the players to do it. And Tyler Higbee is going to be a part of that. So that is why I have him ranked number 6. His 2020 stat predictions, I have him going 80 receptions, 950 yards, and 7 touchdowns. My number 5 tight end for the 2020 season is Mark Andrews of the Baltimore Ravens. His 2019 stats were 64 receptions, 852 yards, and 10 touchdowns. His 29 stats were an increase of 30 receptions, 300 yards, and 7 touchdowns from 2018. Now, here's some reasons why I like him. 1, he's got Lamar Jackson as a quarterback. This guy has improved drastically over his rookie season in 2017, and he's become a hallmark quarterback in the NFL. He was ranked the number 1 quarterback this year. I think he's going to continue to improve. He already showed that he can throw the ball. To me, people all know that he's a runner. People don't really realize how good he was throwing the ball last season, and to throw people off, I think he's going to have to throw more, because personally, I just don't think he can run forever. He's going to either get injured or something. He has to learn to be able to throw the ball in all situations and prove people wrong, which is really great for Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews was Lamar Jackson's number 1 receiver for the team. He led the team in all categories in terms of receptions. That means catches, yards, and touchdowns. Really, the only con I see about him is that they are a really heavy run team this year. And then the other fact is just Marquise Brown or Hollywood Brown. I think he's going to make some drastic improvements this year, which it could cost him the number 1 receiving spot on the Baltimore Ravens, but I don't think he's going to dip in terms of production as a receiver. So I think he's going to be fine. He's still he's still a top target for Lamar Jackson, and I see him doing just about the same as he did in 2019. So Mark Andrews' 2020 stats predictions, I have him at 75 receptions, 900 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Alright, my number 4 guy, Darren Waller of the previously Oakland Raiders, now Las Vegas Raiders. His 2019 stats include 90 receptions, 1,145 yards, and 3 touchdowns. This was an improvement of 84 receptions, 1,070 yards, and 3 touchdowns from 2018. Huge improvement. He totally demolished his previous records for receiving. He became the Raiders' number 1 receiver, and I think that's still going to continue, even with guys like Henry Ruggs on the team, and even an improvement from Hunter Renfrow. I don't think this is going to slow Darren Waller down at all. I think he's just going to keep moving forward, and I think offensively their team will do much better, which ultimately I think will just keep him at the same spot he is. Yeah, and I guess I would also say I really like his connection with Derek Carr. So overall, I have his 2020 stat prediction at 90 receptions, 1,050 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Now this would be an improvement of 4 touchdowns from the previous season. I think he can do it. I think their offense has improved enough where that they can score more, and I think he's such a big target and a guy that really can help them in the end zone and will next season, and I think that improvement is very doable for him. Alright, my number 3 guy, I have Zach Ertz of the Philadelphia Eagles. Zach Ertz' 2019 stats include 88 receptions, 916 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Over the past 7 seasons, Zach Ertz has averaged 75 receptions, 820 yards, and 5 touchdowns. This is very consistent, and moving forward is very good for him. Not only that, he's got a great connection with Carson Wentz. He's Wentz's favorite target. Even though he slumped at the beginning of last season, I think because of little rebound he had at the end of the second half of the season in 2019, he's going to do fine next year. I think he'll be back and ready to go. To me, he is still Carson Wentz's number one target, and I don't really see that changing. I don't think Dallas Goedert has a chance, and I don't think Jalen Reagor is going to be that a big difference maker for them in terms of being the number one go-to receiver for Carson Wentz next season. For me, Zach Ertz's 2020 stat prediction is he'll have 80 receptions, 1,150 yards, 8 touchdowns. To me, that's very doable. Again, he's averaged 75 receptions, 820 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Their offense has improved immensely. They have Jalen Reagor, Deshaun Jackson should be healthy. Alshon Jeffrey should at one point be healthy. They got a great running back in Miles Sanders. Dallas Goedert is another guy. I just see their offense as a whole very improved, and that should just take some pressure off Zach Ertz, which should lead him to have a very similar, possibly improved season from 2019. Now we're at my number 2 guy. We are at George Kittle of the San Francisco 49ers. It was a little bit troubling deciding which tight end to go to, and if you haven't already guessed who my number 1 is, you'll soon find out. And so here's what I got for him. His 2019 stats were 85 receptions, 1,053 yards, and 5 touchdowns. His average over 3 years in the league were 72 receptions, 982 yards, and 4 touchdowns. This is, again, very consistent numbers. And, he's still young. He's been working very hard this offseason. He just signed a 5-year, $75 million contract with the 49ers, which to me usually means that they're going to have a good season. They want to prove that they're worthy of that. So all those factors combined, I really like him this season, not to mention the fact that to me he's Jimmy Garoppolo's favorite target wide receiver, receiving wise. He's their go-to guy, and I don't really see that changing. If you're thinking right now, if you like him so much, why don't you just make him your number 1 tight end this year? Well, here's a few reasons. Really, I don't have him ahead because they're just a whole running team. And that's just what they are. Raheem Mostert, Tevin Coleman. They're going to get McKinnon back this year probably. Jeff Wilson, I think his name is. They got a lot of guys. They tend to favor the backfield, take pressure off Jimmy G. That's really their main plan. Ground and pound game. That's just the way they run their offense. And, it works for them. That's one reason. The other reason is they have a lot of young receivers on the team that really nobody's heard about and is really considering as talented. But let me tell you, they are. Here's a list of some of the players that they have. They have guys like Brandon Ayuk, the rookie out of Arizona State, Jalen Hurd, Deebo Samuels, Kendrick Bourne, Dante Pettis, Trent Taylor. These are guys that are already on the team, plus possibly adding J.J. Nelson, Dante Moncrief, and even Tavon Austin. So they got tons of talent on the team. These are guys who are all going to be competing for looks from Jimmy G. So that's really why I have him lower, but it's not much lower than Travis Kelce, to be honest.
Oops.
Spill the beans. My number 1 tight end for the 2020 season is Travis Kelce of the Kansas City Chiefs. I forgot to read. George Kittle's 2020 stat prediction is as follows: 95 receptions, 1,300 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Back to Travis Kelce. His 2019 stats were 97 receptions, 1,029 yards, 5 touchdowns. Travis Kelce averaged 72 receptions, 923 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Again, very consistent for the tight end position. Really, the main reasons I ranked him as my number 1 guy for tight ends is because he's on a high-throwing team. He's got Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. He's really got a great connection with Patrick Mahomes. Over the past 2 years, he's been with Mahomes. He's averaged 100 receptions, 1,282 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Huge numbers. And then also he just signed a big 4-year $57 million deal. That again should make him a better option, just because I think they'll just want to prove that they're worth it, and they'll want to produce for their team and do well. That's really all I have about him. Personally, I just prefer Travis Kelce just because he's on such a high-end passing offense. So for Travis Kelce's 2020 stat prediction, I have him going 100 receptions, 1,250 yards, 9 touchdowns. Thank you everyone for listening. I hope you really enjoyed the content and that you found my opinions helpful. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to DM me on Instagram or Twitter. My account name is @BullseyeFantasy, so just feel free to contact me on there. Also, make sure you check out my new Facebook page. It's @BullseyeFantasyFootball. Feel free to follow, like the page. I'm always posting I'm going to be posting a lot of new content on there, so do that. And lastly, just don't forget to follow, share, and like this video. I really appreciate it. If you did, please do it. Like, share, follow. Thank you. Peace.